Yo, what's up, guys?
What's up,
Welcome back to
everyone?
Industry Spotlight, episode 3 in the building. We've got an
Woo!
awesome, we
Let's
got an awesome
go.
guest today. Is it Kaze? How do you pronounce it?
Yeah, it's Kaze.
Okay,
So
that's what I thought.
Kaze. Appreciate it. Thanks for
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
man. I'm glad we got to connect recently, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man, excited to have you on too.
So do you want to let's just start by you giving a little introduction about yourself, like who you are, what you've done.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
yeah.
So on all my socials, I'm Kaze Beat, Kaze for short, but my name is Cody, and I'm a music producer. I've been doing this for about 6 years. I just started like most other producers, bedroom producer. I started cooking up in college, and it was just one of those things where I realized it was a passion I could get like just completely lost into, right? But I fell off for a couple of years, and like I graduated college and stuff, and then I went Right. to work as a civil engineer, and I was, the job was all right. I didn't really like it, and the whole time, like I was making beats on the side, and I actually had my own office space, and so I would like low key set up a VPN on my work computer and like sell beats during work hours and stuff. And
A
so
nice
you had to
hustle.
do the alt tab trick whenever like your boss or like the teachers would walk
Oh
by,
yeah.
take it
Yeah.
off the beat store, turn off
You
the
never you
VPN.
never got caught?
No, dude, I never got caught. I almost did. I actually like I left my job, and like a week after I left, apparently they had like like IT guys or tech guys come in to install new Wi-Fi because the my work's headquarters was getting like weird pings, probably because I was using a
Oh,
VPN or
because
something.
that.
Yeah, dude, it was really strange. My buddy was telling me about it,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyways, I was yeah, I guess I realized I was a much better entrepreneur than like an employee. So I left my job a couple of years ago. So I've been trying to just grind it out, man, and find a way in the music industry and as a content creator. So that
Yeah, I
brings
see
me
you
here
on
today.
TikTok. Your stuff's
Um,
doing pretty well right now.
yeah, dude, TikTok's
You're
been
into
a wild opportunity.
you're into a lot of crypto stuff, I see.
Yeah, that too. I've been a long time fan of it, and it's just been
Yeah.
like I've seen the opportunity for like making content for it and just like the financial opportunities. So
Do you
I'm
feel
pretty
like
excited with that.
do you feel I don't know how long have you been making this content about crypto? Was it
No, so like I was in the so like I own Bitcoin since 2015, but like I didn't make any content until this
okay.
year. Yeah, so
So
I've like always followed the space.
so did you do it also before like the whole GameStop stuff, or did you start after then? I feel like after then there was a huge, wave of people like getting interested in this kind of stuff about like, making money on the stock market, crypto exchange. So did you see a huge, boost in viewership then, or
Yeah, I mean that's exactly why, it's I think like a lot of us we saw that there is a space to make content in that area after the whole GameStop stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, that like part of it is what kicked it off, man. It's just something I'm passionate about, so it's
yeah,
pretty
that was
easy for me to make content with it. But yeah, dude, that it's so crazy, man. It's so entertaining seeing all that stuff going on.
yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about the TikTok because how many followers you at on TikTok right now?
158,
Yeah,
158,000.
158,000.
Yep.
And so how long have you been creating on TikTok? What do you think is what do you think is attributed to such a high level of growth?
Dude, it's just throwing as many shitty ideas against the wall as possible. I don't know if you can see my total post count, but I mean I haven't even counted. I can't really see it on my account.
No,
But like I remember I crossed 1,000, like 1,000 posts maybe
wow.
4 6 months ago, and it made me sick. I was like, oh, that's disgusting, dude. like like over 1,000 pieces of content. That's kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous. But I've been really like focusing on TikTok since March of last year, so it's been about a year.
yeah.
And how long into that journey until you had like your first successful video?
March, April, May, like three months. I um I actually like made my first TikTok in October of 2019. And then March 2020 is like when I decided to focus. And then a couple months after that, it was like a totally random video about like the Socratic method of arguing, like, just on some completely non-related music stuff, but that blew up and got like 700,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I really started learning about watch time and had to continue to make better content, have better video hooks. And it's just, as you know, it's a snowball effect. I know you're doing the same thing with you guys doing the same thing with Passion Toolbox. And so
Yeah,
it's
of
just
course.
a skill, man. Making
Yeah.
content is a skill.
I mean, I think what you've done that we preach a lot, which is output, create,
Mhm.
create, right? Because, every piece of content is like a net capturing you more opportunities and attention. And, I think people get so caught up in like, how well is my video going to perform, that it like keeps them from creating. And
Yes.
so is that a mindset when like, because I see you post about like, crypto and production and music, and you're in all these other different areas. What's your opinion on like sticking to a specific niche versus just like doing anything you're interested in?
Yeah, dude, that is a fantastic question. And when I got into my TikTok journey, I was just under the impression that I just had to stick to one thing. But this kind of brings I feel like every creator has a journey. I call it like the creator's journey, right? It's kind of like
Okay.
it's actually your goal to find your people. And I think one of the easiest ways to find your people is just talk about shit that you like about, you know?
Yeah.
Gary Vee is just a perfect example of that. Like, he's an entrepreneur, business guy, but like now he's talking about NFTs. Now he's talking about well, he's always been a sports fan, collectibles. So that's just like his people. He's able to put out as much content, like you said, but you're bringing in different sectors, and that's what makes your brand unique. And that's something that I'm beginning to realize. And so like crypto has always been one of my passions. So I figured, hey, why not build a community of people who are involved in music who also like investing?
Yeah.
And but like I'm still experimenting with that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And there is definitely some merit to sticking to like a very specific niche. Like I see the advantage in that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
as a creator, I think we get bored of making the same content,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
single day doing the same thing. So like, part of that creativity is finding those different niches and seeing how you can put your own unique twist and like
Yeah.
bring a community
You could
together.
also just like create your own niche, like what you're doing, especially on TikTok, because by posting certain videos, it attracts those fans that would like those videos, and they stay, and then they see
Yeah.
your other stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this is pretty cool too." So your two niches kind of intermingle with each other and create a new one that you created yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gary V talks about that a lot. He's like, you are your brand. So like, what is your
Yeah.
niche? It's you, right?
Yeah.
So, no one can recreate Gary Vee because they aren't him. So if you have a specific interest in, beats and cryptocurrency and, this cross reference between both the blockchain world and the music industry, everyone else that's interested in both of those are going to, be drawn to you because you're cross referencing multiple areas that
Yeah.
they enjoy. So while you may be weeding out some people that like music but don't care about crypto, the people that like both become super fans of you because of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super fans. Yeah. They're like
Yeah.
supercharged.
Have you seen
Yeah.
any of those on your videos, like the same like accounts popping up, like commenting on?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. And like
Yeah.
we're homies, I feel pretty close, even though I've never met those people. But
Do you go
yeah,
live often, or?
I'm trying to a little bit more.
Yeah.
I've been kind of low key with the live, so I'm trying to be a little bit
Mhm.
better about it.
Hmm.
Now let's get into how blockchain is changing the music industry. Because I think you're
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
that is diving in this world, and I'd love to talk about that more. Obviously, we see, like NFTs becoming more prominent, but where
Mhm.
do you think we're really headed as you see blockchain become more of our infrastructure?
So, a couple things. You already brought up NFTs. NFT is just a really fancy way of saying like, okay, we can now track where our digital products are going to. That's really all it is. And it's, for my research, it's still in like its infancy stage.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's going to be the future, but maybe we have like 2 or 3 years until everybody's like selling music with NFTs or dropping albums as NFTs and stuff. But it's definitely a use case, and we are heading there. So I think the advantage, or what everybody can do now to take advantage of it, is just learn, get on the platforms, learn a little bit of how that technology works, because whether you like it or not, we're transitioning into that sector.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the second thing is decentralization. And I was actually thinking about this today with how crazy cancel culture is. You know, as you guys have seen, there have been so many examples. I think they wanted to cancel Eminem, right?
Yeah.
Like recently, like how the heck are you going to
Not
cancel
gonna
Eminem?
work.
But yeah, dude, the whole cancel culture thing worries me. And an advantage of decentralization is, as content creators, the platform that you decide to post your content on, it can't take your content off. And that's the whole point of decentralization. There's not like a group of people who are going to take your song down, take your video down if they don't like the content. And if you've noticed, different platforms kind of have, I don't want to say agendas, but they just have like a different feel, obviously. Like TikTok has a certain feel compared to Twitter.
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes like politics gets involved with that stuff. And I think the next wave of these platforms are going to be decentralized, automated platforms that are going to be able to let content creators express themselves more.
Yeah.
But that's also a dangerous thing, right? If you don't really have like a way to monitor some things, some content.
Yeah, well, I think, I think you're 100% right. Where I see us heading is, and this is just the state of the internet in general, right? So you look at platforms, they go through life cycles. So there's the initial surge where everyone's joining this new exciting platform, right? This happens with every single platform. When they first
Right.
take off, and there's an influx of demand to consume the content and not enough surplus of content creators. So naturally, when you join this platform, your content performs a lot better. We saw that with TikTok, right?
Yeah.
When, you could post a video with 10 followers and get 1 million views. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what happens is now all these people, all these content creators see this opportunity on this platform, so they all hop on board. And then it starts to shift away from where now there's a lot more content creators and not as much demand, because it's just a supply and demand. It's leveling out, right?
Right.
And then from there we move into this phase where all of a sudden it becomes very hard to break through on this platform. You saw it with Facebook, right? Like you used to be able to get crazy results from a Facebook page. Now that's not even a thing anymore, because they changed one change in their algorithm. All of a sudden you're getting shown to less than 1% of your audience. What's the point of building that? Right? Now we see that happening right now on Instagram. Right? And that's going to slowly start happening with TikTok. I've seen a lot of people complain about how their views are going way down from what they used to be.
Yeah.
So
we've all seen it.
Yeah. So what I think is important is you find the platforms where both you can express yourself on, but also the ones that are working at the time. You build up attention on those platforms, and then you send all that attention to a medium that you control. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen, sorry, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
So that could be, an email list. That could be an exclusive membership group, right? So you have something like Patreon, right? But, there's platforms where they're making, your own version of Patreon that's on your website,
I think
right?
a good one is Twitch. They have like their own subscription service for that too.
Yeah, Twitch, Discord. It's taking them from the platform where, you're building your audience and diversifying that attention into, another medium that you can control better.
Yeah, right? That's such an important step for building your business, building your brand, getting that more intimate communication. That's what it is.
Yeah, so TikTok could be just like absorbing, like any social media could just be like absorbing all those fans. Then you take those fans with you anywhere you want to go, really.
And so I think it's important to, so I talk about with creating content a lot of times is it's like diversify your content schedule like you would diversify your portfolio. Right? So you make different content for different goals. Some of my content, the goal is to generate attention. Some of my content, the goal is to serve my current audience. some of my content is to take this audience and send them somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. So I think figuring
Yeah.
out how to effectively create a good incentive, incentivization, I don't know if that's a word, but
Incentivize.
incentivizing people to go to the platform you want and giving them a reason to, right? So it's like, for example, when we were getting people to our Discord, we're not saying, hey, go join our Discord. We're saying, hey, come join a network of like-minded musicians who are all looking to work together to build their career.
Not only that, but we were also on live telling people to submit their songs in the Discord so we could
Yeah.
review them on live in front of like 20 people.
Yeah. And now we're able to build up an asset that we can control outside of TikTok. So if TikTok gets banned or all of a sudden our audience dwindles, like, for a while there, like our videos were getting 500,000 plus views and now that's not happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, what happens how do you, pivot from that? That being said, you look at the audience you've built, most people that create content aren't able to get to the level you have of like over 100,000 followers. What do you think you're doing differently than the people that haven't been able to accomplish that? And what could they do to get the same results?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So we touched on this earlier. It's really, for me, it was just a numbers game. It's just putting out as much content as possible. And like, I just think that's the answer that everybody hates. Because it also depends on where you're at in your creator journey. But if you're a new content creator, you're new to TikTok, you're just gonna have to learn the ropes and to mess up as many times as possible. And I actually had a month where I experienced the most growth on my account, and I learned the most about the TikTok app and how to make content. But I made like 6 pieces of content every single day for 30 days.
Wow.
I just like blocked that month off. I like wasn't hanging out with friends. I said, this month is just going to be TikTok content. And it was crazy, not sustainable, but that amount, like if you think about that amount of content that you make in 1 month, 6 posts every single day. Well, if let's say you did 1 post every single day for 6 months, you just spread that content out over a longer period of time. You're going to get this compounding effect in that compressed, like in that 1 month, and that's just going to skyrocket your account. And I mean, that's the advantage of just being really focused. You don't have to do a whole month, but maybe you're focused for a week, 2 weeks, and you just have that explosive growth, and then you can kind of calm down. But I kind of tend to go on like content sprees, like I'll set up a goal. I'll say, hey, I want a number of posts every single day, and I'll just try to accomplish that for like 2 weeks, 1 month at a time.
See, I think sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's just the numbers game touching up. But I'll go. What do you have to say?
What I think you're doing that I think most people mess up on is you're focusing on the right metrics, right? So their goal might be like, my goal is to get 1,000 followers, but that's not really in your control. You can't control how the algorithm pushes your content. Obviously, you can control making the best content you can, but at the end of the day, once you press submit, you don't have control of what happens, right? So what I think is important when you're setting goals is to set the metrics that you can control. So you can't control how many followers you get, but you can control how many times you post.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So I think shifting your focus into what actions are in my control that the byproduct of will give me the result I come up with, which is, really it's just an output game, right? And finding what works. That being said, 6 pieces of content is a lot on a daily basis. How do you come up with content ideas?
Just always writing down ideas on my phone. And usually, at least for me, there's a certain time in the day where ideas will just come to my head, where I'm just extremely creative.
Shower.
And for me, that's like 8 to 10 a.m. So that's when I write down all my ideas for the day. And I may not get to all the ideas, but they just kind of go into a little idea box, just a notes app on my phone. And the following day, I'll just pull out an idea and just start creating it. And it's, I guess the bigger answer to that question is have a routine. Just be on a schedule where you can just develop a habit to get into that creative mindset.
No, that's so true. I say this analogy all the time because this is what really, once I heard this analogy, it really clicked everything for me. It's like building a brand is like working out, right? It's like you gotta how do you get in shape? You eat healthy and you exercise. How do you build a brand? You put out as much content as you can and you market to a lot of people. Well, what got me on a consistent workout routine is when I decided to do it every morning at the beginning of the day. Wake up, first thing I do is work out, because then I can't put it off.
Yeah.
Right. And so naturally my body gets in this state when I wake up where it's like primed to then go work out because it's expecting it. Right. So I think what you're saying right there is totally true too. It's the same thing with building your brand. When it's like, all right, every day I wake up, I eat, I exercise, I eat my breakfast, I brush my teeth and shower, and then I make 3 pieces of content. Well, when you get to that point where you make 3 pieces of content and you do that every single day, after a while, your brain starts to prime itself in that moment for creativity because it's prepared for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy to working out. It really is like that. Yeah,
Now,
and I agree.
Now, when you go through that process, right? I'm sure there's some days where you're creating and it just all flows out and you're like, this is amazing. And you just, all these ideas come to your head, you execute them, it just flows out. And I'm sure you also have days where just every ounce of you is just like, it's so much friction. It's so much harder to execute, right? Because we go through these ebbs and flows. How do you push through those dips when you just don't have as much energy, motivation, or creativity?
Yeah, well, I just got out of kind of a creative rut, and you really have to gauge that for yourself. And I think if you don't feel like making content, then just don't make content. And
True.
there's just a certain, it's really balanced. There's a certain point where you have to go and do other things. You have to go and experience new things outside. You have to go travel, hang out with some friends to get inspired again, man. And I've gone on if you go through my videos, if you want to scroll through like all 2000 of them, you'll see certain weeks where just all my videos flop. And like, if you showed me the date, I can probably tell you, like, yeah, that was a time where I was just going through a content rut, a creativity rut. And I think if going back on having multiple niches, I think that could also help making different kinds of content, because most of my creative ruts just came from beats, really, because all I was doing was beats before, but now I'm kind of evolving. The brand's evolving into other things like crypto, some investing, kind of like life philosophy stuff. And it's nice to be able to switch between 3 different types of content and not doing the same thing over and over again. So
interesting.
Yeah, to answer your question, it's just switch things up a little bit.
No, that
What do
totally
you
makes
do?
sense. What do I do when I get in those ruts?
Yeah.
So I'd say the first thing I focus on is just the habits, right? So, I had a conversation with you about this the other day, and I've been going through it. Like, this last week was probably the first time in my life where I actually felt depressed. And I think it was just a combination of experiencing some traumatic events in my life, going through a breakup, the pressures with my business, just all compounding and literally like crossing the wires in my brain where I couldn't even function.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what it took for me was, one, focusing on the right habits. Right. So I have a morning routine, right? Every day I wake up, first thing I do is take supplements, do yoga, work out. I think that first, 10 to, that first hour of your day is really, really important. Like, however that first hour goes pretty much sets you up for the rest of the day. Like, whatever frequency you prime yourself in, like your brain's, your brain's literally susceptible to whatever frequencies it's programmed with at the beginning of the day. So taking control of that at the beginning of the day. And then when you have a set of habits you focus on the days when you're not feeling it, you can still just go back to, all right, well, let's put one foot in front of the other. What's the first thing I need to do? What's the habit I do after that? And, some days it's just not going to come out well, but I know as long as I keep showing up, shit, Monday comes back around. I had a good meeting with someone earlier this day. I had a breakthrough with how I want to structure things in my business. And it just like, now I'm in a good state. And it's just like, it's like the weather, right? Like, some days it's going to rain, some days it's going to snow, some days it's going to be sunny. And as long as I just keep showing up every day, when it's raining outside, obviously it's going to be harder to execute. but I'm still executing, right? I don't beat myself up. I'm just like, today I could only crawl, but tomorrow I might be able to jog, and then maybe in a couple of days I'll be running again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just like
A good tactic is cleaning your studio when you don't want to make any music or do any content. Is say just pick up a broom, clean something. That'll
sure
there's
just get your
also
mind off, just get your mind off stuff and like in that thinking mode again, just by
yeah
distracting yourself, and like when you're in that state, like anything would work.
if yeah you're right. If you can distract yourself with something that's remotely positive, I think you're still crawling in the right direction.
That's why I love going on just like runs whenever.
Yeah,
just like
dude, exercise is so important. I mean,
just sweating, honestly. It's great.
Yeah, just being outside sweating. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was starting to feel a little anxiety this morning, so I went on a walk, and I live right next to this like forested area that's got and I literally just like brewed a cup of coffee, just literally took my coffee and just like walked around that forest, and it just like revitalized me and allowed me to, like we are a product of like feedback loops, right? So, let's say, you wake up, the first thing you do is you check your phone and you have a text from your boss who's like pissed at you about something you didn't do at work yesterday, right? Well, that's going to make you feel like shit. You're going to have all this anxiety. You're going to wake up and then you're going to be like, wanting a dopamine boost. So you're like dicking around on your phone. And then now all of a sudden you're like running late for work. And then now you're even more stressed, and you show up at work and you're all like, like freaking out. And then you like, a customer comes up all angry and you don't handle it properly because you're not in the right like mood. And then it just spirals, right? And your day you get caught in this negative feedback loop. But the same thing can happen in a positive feedback loop, right? Like you start your day right. I woke up, went on a dope walk, like awesome view, had a coffee, was just like happy, right? Then I brought that energy into my meeting that I had with one of my clients, and then that went well. And then that made me have a breakthrough of an idea because I was in this positive mind state, and now it's rolling into this podcast where I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, catching yourself, right? Like, am I in a positive feedback loop right now or a negative one? And then if you're in a negative one, asking yourself, like, what catalyst could I use to spike myself back into a positive one?
That's very true. Yeah. I actually never thought of it that way, and just you saying that made me realize some things.
Well, we're a product of our emotions, right? And if you don't take control of it and you don't take inventory of it, you're still a product of it, right? But once we realize go ahead.
Yeah, dude, it's awareness, because I remember in my life, I would have those negative days and positive days, but I may have not been aware that that's what was going on. And I mean, if you do yoga, maybe you meditate, but meditating has changed my life. I've been doing it for like 3 years.
Yeah, I gotta start doing that.
Yeah, man, it's something
I did it sporadically last summer.
To everybody.
So do you do it just in the morning, or?
I usually do it in the morning and afternoon. Sometimes at night, but I usually just get tired and I fall asleep.
So there's different like
twice a day.
But meditate twice a day. Just quick, simple, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be like long 45-minute sessions or 1 hour. It's not crazy, but it's just bringing that awareness to how you're feeling, and that helps problem solving so much, as I'm sure you've experienced yourself.
It's true.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about meditating in the middle of the day too, because like it's like your brain is like, it's almost like an engine that's getting overheated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you can meditate, it's like letting it like calm down and, like,
yeah.
And then really getting that awareness of your state, right? Because it's like, our ability to like process our emotions and control them and work through problems effectively, like all of that comes down to our ability to control our state. And, and that's all meditation is. Like people are like, oh, I can't meditate. When I meditate, like I just have all these thoughts racing. It's like, no, that's your body literally going through the process of, letting out those, they call it like the monkey mind, right? It's like your mind is like a monkey that's like trapped in a cage, and all it wants to do is like get out and like let me out, right? And then every time you meditate, it's like letting that monkey out of the cage. And when you first let it out of the cage, it's going to go crazy. It's going to run everywhere. It's going to freak out. But when you let it out multiple times a day, every single day, after a while it just starts calming down, and it just
Yes.
its
Yeah.
natural state is a lot, more calm because it knows it's going to get its chance to release.
Yeah, give it some bananas.
Yeah. And eventually, you can get a sloth or chill koala,
Yeah.
push the monkey out, and
That's what it maybe evolves into eventually after you keep on going
yeah,
at
like
it.
on some Pokemon, it's gonna evolve.
I bet you have a sloth now at that point. You said you've been doing it for what, like 3 years?
Yeah, for 3 years. And yeah, I had one session where I had this realization that about my brand, and it's really simple. Like I feel like everybody that is trying to start a brand understands this, but I guess when I was meditating, it just had so much more impact. But it was just like this thought that came into my head, and it said, hey, like your brand is supposed to be about everybody else. And maybe this is like a good segue into like how to go about setting up a brand, how to go about like how do you create a magnetic brand for other people? What are some of the things that you think about, some like tactics or things to make it a community, make it about everybody else?
I think that's everything. It's exactly what you're saying, right? Is it's making it about other people. Right? I think that's the issue, especially with musicians that they make. Is it's all about me. Hey, new single out now. Hey, check out what I'm doing. Hey, I'm the shit. Hey, love me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah.
Right? And you see that post after post, right? And you're just like, fuck this shit. Right? Like I know what you're
people
doing.
care already.
Yeah, it's like walking up to someone. It's like walking up to a girl and being like, "Hey, I'm really awesome. You want to have sex with me?" It's like, I don't even know you. You know what I mean? But if instead you make it about them, hey, those are 6 shoes. Where'd you get them? Building rapport with them now that they've been introduced to you. Oh, cool. You like my shoes? Oh, yeah, I got these at Ross. They were actually on sale. Oh, my God, I love Ross. That place is amazing. I actually got this coat from there the other day. Did you know if you use like this coupon code, you can get like, you start having a conversation with them. They start to trust you more.
Yeah.
And then now when you ask for something, you got to give them a reason to, right? So, hey, you know what? Why don't we go shop at Ross, tomorrow? I have some free time after work. I'll show you this really cool section they have. Okay, cool. Yeah, here's my number, right? Whereas like if you just walk up to a girl and you're like, hey, I'm awesome. Give me your number so we can have sex. Like, no, you know what I mean? But that's what people do with their content. So I think it's like, who am I serving? And then what would actually serve them? Right? Like people don't begin with that end in mind. So as a musician, who are you serving? Well, I'd say you're serving, like if you want to narrow it at first, the people in your genre. Right? So if you make, conscious rap music, well, then you're serving the conscious rap community. So then reverse engineer. What would that community, what content would actually serve that community?
Yeah.
Well, that could be your music, but maybe you do a content where you talk about an artist in that genre that you're super into, that they're into.
Yeah.
Right? And then now you're telling a story about some artist that they're interested in that they didn't know about. Well, that's serving them. And that's creating that introduction with these people for them to then be, come encompassed in your ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got it. Yeah.
And a great way on TikTok to actually find out like what your audience is by just looking at your For You page, because your For You page tells you what your niche is. I'm sure you get a lot of videos in your For You page about like crypto. Right?
Oh yeah, now I do. Yeah, for sure.
And about like music stuff, I'm sure. So if anyone is trying to like find their niche, literally just scroll through your For You page and look at the common denominators between the videos, and you'll see what it posts, because those videos will do the best.
Well, when it comes to finding your niche too, I think you should just reverse engineer and start with what am I actually interested in? Right? Because you should be posting 3 to 6 times a day if you're trying to grow your audience. And if you're not talking about shit and creating shit that you're actually interested in, then you're not going to stick with it. You know what I mean? Like you're going to quit, because if it feels like homework, then you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's that with me.
That's very important.
With my account. Sorry. You go. Oh, okay. Yeah. So with my account, like I got caught in this niche of those people who like stand in front of like a picture or like a meme or whatever. Because like I posted a couple of those because I was bored, or whatever, and they like went super viral, and like all my followers were like that now. And I would try to post like other stuff that would usually be like comedy, and it just wouldn't do well. So I just was forced to post that. So I was doing that for like 2 months, and I was getting like millions of likes. I had like 5 million plus, but I was just like bored of it. Like it just wasn't fun for me. I was
Oh
like
man.
stuck in that. So like when I try to post other stuff now, I get like hundreds of views, like 500 views compared to like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, yeah. And so how do you pivot from that? How do you,
Right, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Um,
yeah.
I think honestly, it's just it, oversaturating your profile with the content you want to post, and eventually it'll pivot towards these
Mm,
other fans, but your followers won't represent your viewer account. It will be like resetting your follower account because that's what you have to do at that point.
I mean,
I
here's the big thing. This is why I say you got to begin with the end in mind, right? Because what you're doing is it's like you're going on vacation, but you haven't picked a destination yet. And so you're just like, driving to the airport and you're like, which plane do I get on? And it's like, well, where are you trying to go?
Yeah,
Right. And it's the same thing with your content. It's like, well, what content do I make? It's like, well, what do you want to accomplish from that content? And it shouldn't be views because that doesn't mean anything.
right.
Right. I know people with millions and millions and millions of views who work for minimum wage right now because that doesn't pay the
right,
bills. The TikTok Creator
right.
Fund isn't going to pay the bills. Right. Like,
Hell no. Hell no.
so it's like,
12
don't get me
cents a day.
wrong,
Let's
getting
go.
we've gotten,
Same.
we've gotten over $1,000 from the Creator Fund. So that's great. But that's also from making almost 1,000 videos.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like, what is that? Like not even $1 a video, or that's like $1 a video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that,
Yeah.
you know
So
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so it's like, I think it's like, what are you trying to accomplish? Right. Like, and you need to get specific about that and really paint like a clear picture of what is the future I'm building. Cause you can reverse engineer how to get there. And the more specific you get, the better you get at finding where you want to go, and then
Yeah.
it just fills itself out from there. Like if you know
Right.
what, where Fifth Street is, you're going to figure out in the GPS, take a right here, take a left there until you get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there's also so much discovery when you're trying to figure out and paint that picture. If you're going to go and set up a brand, you really need to understand who you are and what you want to do, like you said. And in my experience, a lot of that has changed. I've learned so much about myself. I mean, building a business is really it's just building your life. If you're making a brand, I think it's so much self-discovery. And yeah, things change. Like this crypto stuff that came in, I'm just learning to try to pivot with it and possibly add it into my brand. But
Yeah.
I still want to be Beats, but I know I have to be careful with not making too much crypto content and still focusing on my business. But it's a slippery slope.
So you want to have a
Pivoting
good
into
good
other
little
things.
balance there.
Yeah, yep, you need to have a balance. And yeah, just
I
having
think that,
fun with it at this point.
yeah, I think that also comes back to, finding that balance comes back to what's called a KPI, which is like a key performance indicator,
Mm,
right? What are the metrics that I'm trying to accomplish? And begin with that in mind. And that metric shouldn't be views or followers because
right,
that doesn't really do anything.
Mhm.
right,
It just
right.
has
Yeah,
potential to do something.
you need to go a step further, and maybe you want to convert more people into your email list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to grow your Discord. You want to reach a certain amount of sales. And
Yeah.
yeah, followers are involved with that, but you need to go deeper,
You have to
more in the
convert
back
those
end.
metrics into the more important metrics.
Yeah,
So let's
exactly.
use that example as a musician, right? So what do most musicians do? They'll be like, I want to get 10,000 followers on Instagram. Well, it's like, well, why? Because I
Right.
want to be a famous musician. Well, how does that make you a famous musician?
Yeah.
Right? Whereas it's like, if you're more specific, like, I want to go on tour with an artist where I can sell, 50 tickets in these 10 cities at a, $20 price point, so I can make $10,000 on this tour. And in order to do that, I need to get an average customer size or listener base of 1,000 people per city and be able to close 10% of them on buying a ticket, right? Like that's specific.
Mm.
So
Oh,
now
yeah.
you could figure out, how do I accomplish that? Well, oh shoot, I can run ads to these cities. Oh, well, maybe I should DM the people that are big in this city or have influence in this city and build connections with them. Right now you can kind of reverse engineer, how would I go
Yeah.
about that? Or like, how do I get on this tour? Well, maybe I should reach out to, you know, promoters who are the ones throwing these tours and see what I can do to get on the tour. Let me send them an email, right? Or, you know, you just start to attract those, you know, opportunities once you have a very, very clear picture of like what you're
Mm.
trying to do and how to go about it.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Like going back
Mhm.
to what you said about how these people just want to get like 10,000 followers just because some people actually do get there just by, like commenting on like popular posts and be like, oh, dude, do you like my music? Or just like DMing people to follow them. They get there and then nothing happens. Like they still get like 10 monthly listeners on Spotify. So that just proves that followers aren't
Yeah.
what you should be looking for, especially if
Yeah.
you're commenting on these Instagram posts like, oh, go listen to my music. I'm sure you guys see that all the time. And it just gets annoying at this
I
point.
hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one guy, he's like Lil something, and it's just so annoying.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't see that much content anymore on my TikTok. But I used to do the I had a few posts that like got a couple millions of views, but it was just like, if you saw this like weird thing in this song, or if you like heard this weird noise, like click the plus, follow
Yeah.
along. If and it just totally the wrong audience, but that's
Yeah.
that's just a mistake, a cost of
Mhm.
learning.
I fell into that
Yeah.
trap too, because
Yeah.
I made a
Yeah.
video that was like tricking people into following me, and I got like 80,000 followers that didn't care about my content or me. So like
Yeah.
80% of my following is just like they don't care.
Yeah. So for you guys, what has your journey been so far? Like how did you start getting into social media? And like what opportunity did you see from creating content?
So I'll go first, right? So, you know, I started off, on the musician route, which I'm still on. And, I was able to line up, you know, getting on the radio, playing festivals, doing various things through Instagram, just from creating content,
Wow.
getting connected with people, and just getting in front of the right people, right? And so I saw the power of Instagram. I saw that really give me opportunities. And it wasn't even from having a large following, it was just from getting in front of the right people.
Mm-hmm.
So that once I saw those opportunities, it really showed me how powerful these platforms are and how you really need to give them the attention they deserve. Right now, the tricky part has been growing that audience, right? Because it's, you can put out a bunch of content, but that doesn't mean your audience is growing. And so that's just been a process of trial and error for me, right? Then I got on TikTok. I made, almost 1,000 videos on my artist profile and only gained like 1,800 followers. Because I was
Wow.
just output. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Boom, boom, boom. And I was just making shit that just wasn't serving anyone. And it wasn't like the right content, right? So, then I, started this Passion Toolbox page because I started getting into Facebook ads and, I was just, making ads for other clients.
Mhm.
Sorry, I was getting a text. And, I just started Passion Toolbox as a way to run ads for other people so I could get, like practice, because you can only spend so much of your own money when you're running these ads. Right.
Yeah.
And then, I added in our TikTok account on Passion Toolbox as just like an additional part of the service. We're like, oh yeah, and we'll like post about you on our TikTok page. Right. Because I knew
Yeah.
that would get at least a couple hundred views and like they'd feel happy. Right. And then my ad account got banned. So all of a sudden I lost my entire business overnight. And I'm just like, well, fuck, what am I going to do here?
Shit.
Right. And so we just start posting a little more on the TikTok, and then the TikTok account started going crazy. So then we really found our niche in here, which is like, oh, serving musicians. We have a lot of valuable information. I've worked with almost, I'd say probably around 60 or 70 artists at this point. So I have a good bird's eye view. I've talked with a lot of people, both like people like you in the industry who have a bit of a following, and people at every level, right?
Yeah.
And so it just kind of evolved from there, right? And it's still evolving. I'm still figuring it out, but I kind of came to the conclusion, and what me and Matt are really trying to do here is build a community, right? Build a community of like-minded creators who understand the opportunities we have in this field and who want to create both awesome music and business opportunities, and just create this community that we could launch by making the most badass studio in the world, and then taking people like yourself and getting them all under one roof where we can all just create and build and live in that frequency that people that operate at this level are in.
Yeah, that's dope. Save that as a clip. Save that one. Mark that. Mark that.
What about you, Matt?
Do that. For me personally, let's see. So like really over the well, I had a TikTok account like October 2019 where I started posting on it just like for fun, or with like my friends. And then over quarantine, I was like, well, sure, I got nothing else to do. I guess I'll start making more videos. So I went kind of like hard at it for like a couple months. I got like 10,000 followers just from like organic growth, stuff like that. And then I posted one video that completely popped off, got like 9 million views and 8 million.
That's
whatever.
crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, and then I got a couple DMs. So I got like 9 million views on that video, and I got a couple DMs on Instagram, like business opportunities. I was like, oh shit, I could actually like monetize off this. And then I did that for a little bit. And then I saw some more opportunities where not just monetization, but like, business opportunities that like can progress my career. So I reached out to Jackson on Passion Toolbox, and I was able to create an opportunity where I would post for them on TikTok, and it turned into this, and it's going to turn into an even bigger thing.
Nice.
I hope so. Yeah, that was just,
So
just
to segue off of that, let's talk about something that I think is like people really, really underestimate the power of this, which is the ability to network, right? So these social platforms are great for building attention, but the people that you can get connected with through these platforms by literally just sending a DM is crazy. And people are like afraid to reach out to people because they don't want to get like rejected. But it's just like, you don't know who's going to fucking respond. And like, you can get opportunities if you're willing to fucking ask for them. But then more importantly, follow that through with action, right? So I wouldn't be starting this podcast with Matt if he didn't reach out to me, but then follow that up by posting a shit ton on our TikTok. Yeah. Right? Because I get people that reach out and they want to be a part of what we're building, but then they don't back that up with action. So, I'm gonna give you what you give me in return, right? So if you aren't willing to put anything in, then I'm not willing to give you anything in return. It's just you get in what you put out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Matt, I guess your page and what you're doing on TikTok acted as your resume. It's just there. It's out to the public. And for you, Jackson, you reached out to Matt, you talked to him, and when you're putting out content, people already know what you're about. And that's one of the main reasons why I got in, is it's just the new resume. Like I don't know, like, do you guys remember what your life was like before you hopped on social media and then after? Because I hated social media. Like I thought Instagram was so stupid. But when you when you see how much of a tool, how it's just a new resume, how it's evolving.
That's literally, bro. Like that's what I say about Instagram is I don't even think, I literally say your Instagram page is just your resume, right?
Yeah.
And the new currency is attention. And regardless of how your content's performing, when someone sees you have a large following on your follower account, that will get your foot in the door. Right? Like what caught my attention with Matt is I looked at his page. I'm like, oh damn, he has 100,000 followers. Like, yeah, I'll definitely hear him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even watch his content. I just saw the 100K and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, regardless of how his content's performing now, if he figured out how to get to 100K, I know he's competent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I appreciate
that. And so it's like just able to get your foot in the door, and then it's about your ability to provide value. And I think that comes back to, having a real attention on what am I trying to accomplish? Right? So because then you can reverse engineer what you need from there, and then identify the skill sets you need in order to accomplish what you need. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, when you're reaching out to network, you're growing your network specifically to fill in the areas you're missing. And when you can directly approach them, providing a specific skill set that they need, and in return be able to get what you're missing, it creates this mutual benefit of exchange where both parties win. And that's all I've done with Passion Toolbox. It's literally just having conversations with people and going, hey, where are you at? Where are you trying to go? What resources do you have available? Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm trying to go. Here's the resources I have available. How do we combine them to both get what we want? And, sometimes that leads nowhere and it's just a conversation. But a lot of the times it leads to real opportunity. Mm-hmm. For example, that's how I got a gig opening up for Waka Flocka, right? I lined up a gig opening up for Riff Raff, and I met an artist who had a gig lined up to open up for Waka Flocka. And I literally had this exact same conversation with him. I just sat down and I'm like, hey, here's where I'm at. I'm running a decently sized business. I'm trying to figure out how to build a career. I have a project out. I have music I'm ready to perform. And I'm trying to figure out how to get shows. Where are you at? He's like, well, I'm in a pretty similar position with music. I lined up this Waka Flocka gig. And, I'm trying to get more shows too. And then I'm like, well, how about we do this? Let's make a song together. Then you be my hype man at the Riff Raff show, and then we'll perform this song live. Now you get to open up for Riff Raff. And then we'll do the exact same thing with you at Waka Flocka, and now I'll be able to open up for Waka Flocka. And then we did that, and it opened up the relationship where we were both able to play those shows that we wouldn't have had in return. And then that even led to us working together and actually getting a gig opening up for Joyner Lucas after that.
Holy shit.
Right? So It's like, I think what happens is they meet people with the hopes that will turn into them getting what they want. But you got to understand, no one's going to give you what you want unless they're getting equal or more value in return. Mm-hmm. But when you approach them in a very organized manner, so I could get on this call and hope that something like that comes out of it. Or instead, I can come in this call and literally just be straight to the point and direct it and make it happen, which is literally just using this formula of where are you at? Where are you trying to go? What do you need? Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm trying to go. Here's what I need. How do we combine these to both get what we want? Just asking that question. And you'd be crazy. You'd be surprised what comes from it. That's how I lined up a gig in Cuba in front of 6,000 people. That's how I got on the radio, right? It was from having that exact conversation with the people that had the connections to get what I wanted. I wanted to get on the radio, so I worked out a deal with a guy I knew that ran a radio station. I wanted to play a gig, so I figured out how to make that happen with the people that had that opportunity. And I didn't get that from, I just got that from literally just being direct about and knowing what I actually want and knowing what I can bring to the table. What I mean?
Yeah. That's amazing. Out of curiosity, who is the artist you worked with on Riff Raff or opened with?
You probably wouldn't know him. He's not like a big artist or anything, but he's like pretty dope. His name is Cam Stone.
Okay.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
you probably wouldn't know him. He's just like a local. I think he's in Boise or Eugene.
Yeah,
those places.
It was a long
Check
shot.
out his music.
Yeah, dude, definitely. I knew a guy that has a story opening for Riff Raff. His name is Leezy though, and he's just like a music entrepreneur like us. So I was like, maybe you know Leezy, but okay.
So to dive in deeper to this, so on the surface, don't get me wrong, all that shit is dope, and I'm proud that I had those opportunities. But here's to give you guys the inside scoop for the people that are actually listening to this podcast. It isn't that hard to line up, right? Literally, all you have to do is contact the promoters of these shows.
Yeah.
And then you can either buy your way onto the show or work out a deal where if you can sell a certain amount of tickets, right? So for example, with the Riff Raff show, right? I paid, I think it was like $400, but I got in return, I got 25 tickets that are all $20. So then I can go sell those tickets to people and make my money back.
Oh,
and even make a profit. You know what I mean? And then now I'm literally getting paid to open up for Riff Raff.
And did you keep all that money
Nice.
from the tickets?
Yeah,
you
so
sold?
I think I sold I like about broke even, I believe it was, and then I gave away some tickets to some of my friends.
Yeah,
But yeah, like think
that's
about it.
dope.
Like you could, let's say for example, like you have a local market you're trying to target, right? You could find the promoters that throw shows in those towns, right? And then look at who they have coming up, and then just reach out to them, be like, hey, I would love to get on some of these shows. And then if they have any available, they'll be like, yeah, like for example, Waka Flocka's coming in town. You can have the spot for $500. I'll be like, all right, cool. Do I get tickets from that? Do I not? Sometimes you're just paying for the spot. And then you can hope to make your money back from selling like merch at the show and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like shit, bro, I did that for the Joyner gig, and I got people hitting me up a couple weeks ago saying like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I saw you open up for Joyner Lucas.
Oh shit.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
Like
that's
just a
crazy.
huge fan, just wanted to say like, keep killing it. I heard your new song you just dropped, and I'm like, oh, sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, where part of it helps is I'm not in this to be famous or make money. I'm in this for dope experiences. So if I can find
Yeah.
opportunities to have those experiences, and even if I'm not making money, I'm fucking happy as shit.
Yeah, that's really important to have.
You know
I'm
what I
glad
mean?
you see it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But I think that's the issue is most artists don't even know what they want, right? Like I know what I want is to play shows in front of a bunch of people and make dope music with good artists. It's really that simple for me.
Yeah.
Right? So I can figure out how to give that to myself, and I can reverse engineer how to get there. And that's how I was able to learn that strategy with the, promoters. Like when it started, it was literally just, I just want to play any show in front of anyone. Right. And I'd be happy to play in front of 9 people. So what did I do? I reached out to the people I knew and I was like, hey, do you guys know any shows going on? And I was able to get a show in front of like 8 people at a house party. Right. Then from there, I'm like, all right, well, obviously this isn't working. Let me try hitting up venues. Right. So then I made like an Excel spreadsheet of like 100 venues in like Oregon and Washington. And I literally started at, got all 100 on the list, started at the top, worked my way down. Out of 100 venues, I got 1 gig at a shitty bar in front of like 12 people.
No way.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that strategy doesn't work. Let me try
Yeah.
something else. Let me hit up artists, because artists are playing shows. They probably know something I don't. Right. So I hit up some artists, got a session at a local studio, was asking them about it because I was like, let me talk to artists about what I'm trying to do. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're actually doing this showcase next week. You can come be on it. Right. So I get on that showcase. Now all of a sudden I'm playing a show in front of like 40, 45 people.
Yeah.
Right. And at that show, I met another artist who had just opened up for Lil Wayne. And I was like, oh shit, how did you do that? And he's like, the key is you got to talk to promoters, because they're the ones throwing the show and their goal is to make money by selling tickets. So if you can help them with that aspect or help them get some of their money back, you can pay for the spot and you can get these opening up for these artists. So I'm like, oh, sick.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Do you know any promoters? Well, I happen to know one. Let me get you guys connected.
There you
Boom.
go.
Next thing I know, I'm open for Riff Raff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
That's a
So it's
gem.
like you got to begin with the end in mind, and then it's just a process of testing.
Yeah, trial and error.
Right? So that's what I'm going through with Passion Toolbox right now. What do I want to do? I want to create an entity that can, generate enough capital that we can launch this studio. Because once we have this studio and we have this hub of creation, I'm able to create a community of people, and that just excites me so much. I want to figure out how to make that happen. Right? So now it's about testing. What's my first hypothesis? Let me run Facebook ads. Well, what was the result of that? I got my ad account banned. So let's start with a new hypothesis. What's my new hypothesis? Let me try doing like $50 an hour consulting. Well, I did that. What was my result? I'm kind of burning out doing this. Like I need to like switch it up. Right. So then I tried going high ticket. That didn't work. So now I'm switching up to something else. And it's like, on one hand, it's easy to look at that and be like, nothing's working, bro. You need to stop. But after seeing that perspective of what I went through with the shows, I know it's the same situation. It's like this strategy doesn't work, but it's giving me data and it's pointing me closer to the right strategy that I will inevitably find.
You need some proof of concept. And once you have that, you believe in yourself.
And then once you have that proof of concept, you're like, this is way easier than I thought. Right? Mm-hmm. It's just most people give up after the second or third barrier. They're like, wow, three
Right.
things in a
Right.
row didn't work. This is never going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not going to pretend like that doubt doesn't creep in. But at the end of the day, having the perspective of going through that with experience with the shows, I know that that formula applies here too. And the people
Yeah.
that are successful are the ones that are able to push through. Like I saw this quote. It was like, the ones that are successful are the ones that are able to go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. You know what I mean? Like that's what success is being able to go through failure after failure and just being like, okay, that didn't work, but it's getting me one step closer to what will.
Yeah.
And I'm
Damn,
learning, you know what I mean? What I'm
yeah.
missing.
Man, I don't know about you, Matt, but I'm charged up right now just hearing all that. I'm ready to fail.
Yeah. Do you have any experiences with that, like on TikTok or?
Like my journey as a musician has just been a little bit different. I just feel like uh I'm not like out performing and stuff. I'm just more of like a beat maker, so I'm just making content and beats, hanging out at home. And I feel like really the only failure point for me is if I just stop making beats or I stop making content.
Yeah.
I've tried like Facebook. I've tried Facebook ads. I tried doing like funnels and selling beat packs and stuff, and I actually got pretty heavy into that. I invested a decent amount of money, and I guess that's a failure. That was just like a system that didn't really work for me, but I'm not throwing it away. I'm just trying some different tactics now to get more sales and increase traffic to my site. And
So you have a site where you independently sell beats?
yeah, I have a BeatStars. I built my own website, not like from scratch, but I did like a WordPress website and
Yeah.
stuff. Just hosted a domain, and that was a great learning experience. I can do that for other people now.
It's a great tool to
But
have.
yeah, it's in that aspect of just like content and making beats and stuff. It's like, what really is failure for that part of things? Like I can understand if you're trying to start a career by like going out and performing on shows, maybe a failure would be you screw up a performance or something, and then I just think the real failure is you just stop doing it.
Mhm.
And so like you said, Jackson, is just to have that consistent enthusiasm. I got to meet Steven Cymatics. I don't know if you know him, but he's he owns the Cymatics. He's pretty big on Instagram and all the like social profiles, but he held an event in Atlanta, and one of the things he told me, like I asked him for some advice, he just said, I hope you fail as fast as possible. It's one of those statements that makes you kind of think twice, but it's a great one. I always hold that to heart. I hope you fail as fast as possible, because then
What do
you'll
you think
find
he
what
means
works.
by that? Just like be willing to just keep failing over and over again because it's just going to lead you to what works is essentially what
For
that's.
for your ventures, work very diligently, like be relentless with your new ideas, and hope that you fail as quickly as possible, and then that way you can move on to something else that will work. So make use of your time. Time is very valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And I think it's easy to see the people that the second thing they try works, and you're like, what the fuck, I'm on my fifth thing. Why did their second thing work and not my fifth thing? But it's like, if I told you it was going to take you 25 different things to make it happen, but if you push through that, you can have everything you ever wanted, would you do it?
Oh yeah.
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 25 things.
Right? So it's like, all right, well, let me just keep trying shit. One of these things is going to fucking work.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, I made this video about it the other day. Like 50 Cent was talking about this shit where he's like, the universe isn't going to give you what you want when you want it. It's going to give it to you when you're ready. You know what I mean? And I learned that the hard way, right? I built a successful business before I was ready to have one. Because I didn't understand financial literacy. I didn't understand accounting. I didn't understand all these things that went into running a business. I got lucky and did the right things, and a lot of business is timing, right? I got in at the right time. I did the right things and it worked. But since I didn't know how to run a business properly, I lost it. The universe wasn't ready for me to have that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I needed to learn the lessons of actually, doing your taxes right and building a team and a system and having the right order of operations in place to where people can rely on you. And so what that really shows me is it's like, all right, cool. Like, those times when you're struggling, like I've been struggling immensely the last week. Those are the times where when you push through that, it's callousing you to have thick enough skin to handle when you do have it, being able to keep it.
Yeah, totally. And that goes back to the working out analogy, because even when you work out, you get these calluses and you become stronger. So just like what you said, even in business, you get these calluses and they make you stronger. It's just like learning from your failures, and eventually you progress and become even stronger.
But it's your ability to hold your like feet to the fire. Like the ones that really make it are the ones that can just stay there. You know what I mean? And it's easy to
Yeah.
like regress and like go hide. It's just like that. There's levels to this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. How do you know when you're ready to start hiring other people? When you're ready to start expanding out, building a team?
So let me preface this by
Yeah.
saying I think I recently made the mistake of just bringing a shit ton of people on because I'm like, what? You want to be part of something I'm doing? Fuck yeah, come join me.
Right.
But very quickly it became something it's hard for me to manage. Bro, I got 3 people running a YouTube account. I got a guy running our Snapchat. I'm working with Matt on this podcast. We also have an editor I got to coordinate with. We got to line up guests. Well, me simultaneously having to run the entire TikTok account by myself and do the accounting. And it just reaches a point where you're just doing too many things, right? So I think it's like, first you got to identify, what do I actually need to do? What am I good at doing? And then as soon as you can delegate someone that's better at that than you,
Yeah.
and you can either afford to or work out a situation where that works, I think that's when it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
It's like
I ran in.
You go.
I was gonna say I ran into a situation where it was just too many requests, and it's just one of me, and at this point I'm willing to pay someone like 15 to 20 bucks just to go through DMs. And that's part of what happened. Was I just got burnt out. I was making these duet beat videos, which maybe you guys have seen on my page, and for some reason there was like 2 weeks where every single one of them was getting like over 100,000 views, 300,000 views. Like 300 people would duet one of the beats, and then they'd go to my store and then would hit me up on Instagram. So that was like really the first time I experienced just too much where I couldn't handle, and I didn't really know what to do with it. I just kind of sputtered out, honestly. I wanted to help as many people as possible, but my customer service just got shitty. It just went terrible, and that was one of the first times I realized, like, all right, this is getting a little more serious, and I want to transform this from less of a hobby into more of a business. And you just can't do it alone.
You need a
You
VA.
Really can't. What's that?
You can get VAs. You can get virtual assistants in the Philippines that have skill sets just as good as someone in America.
Yeah.
Who are fluent in English, that you can pay between $6 and $13 an hour to do that for you.
Oh man, dude. I'm writing that down as we speak.
Literally.
Really?
You need to read a book called 4-Hour Workweek.
Oh, I've heard about that. That's on my list.
So, bro, you need to do this. You need to do this literally after this call. Go on to Upwork, make an ad asking what you want. So, like, let's talk about, like, what do you need someone to go answer your DMs and sell people on your beats?
Yeah, or just sift through who is actually going to be a good fit, or like who's actually serious. That's really what I needed to sift through.
Yeah, so you could get you get a VA. You pay them literally $10 to $13 an hour, which in their country is worth a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the currency change is why you're able to pay them so much less, right? This is why people in America outsource all this shit overseas, because you can get the same work for way cheaper. Now, you can, sorry, I'm getting a call. Let me get that out of there. Can you still see me?
So have you done this yourself?
Yeah, so I'm looking at that right now for I've done it for like when I did my Amazon business. I'm looking into it right now, a Passion Toolbox. But yeah, I mean it's a common practice, right? Like
I see. Yeah.
yeah. But no, it's that's what's crazy, right? So when we talk about like building out your infrastructure, right? People think
Uh-huh.
I need to bring on these like crazy people, but it's like if you just need specific jobs done, like the whole new, we're moving away from this traditional 9 to 5 structure into like a freelancer economy. Where why would I go work for an agency where they're going to take 80% of the profit we make on here and put all the work on me, and I can't do anything on my own time frame, when I could go do the same exact work as myself and get paid way more as long as I'm able to line up clients, right? So
Mm,
like, you know, these skill sets are valuable, and if you know how to leverage them properly, like they can really open up doors.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I
I
mean?
appreciate the gym. I'm definitely gonna go
Yeah.
check that out. And there's so many tools out now that
Yeah.
we probably don't even know about or
Can be
understand yet.
overwhelming at
They're never
times
coming
even.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 2 sites I would check out: either Upwork, where you submit it and you can invite people to like see the ticket, or there's also Free Up, which is FR. There's 3 E's and then up. So FREEE
Mhm.
up.
All
Dot
right.
com, where they actually vet the people before they're allowed to be on the website,
Okay.
to like make sure that they're legit and stuff. So that's another great option too.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you can get people. I would definitely try that out, because that's a gig. How many DMs are you sitting on that need to be sifted through?
Usually 5 a day. I'm at about five
Yeah,
a day, but man,
yeah,
during
right.
that
So
time period,
that's not gonna take you more than an hour's worth of work. You could
yeah,
get that done for $10, bro.
it's not anything crazy right now.
Yeah.
But if for I guess you as an individual, you understand what you're good at, right? And you have to
Hmm.
delegate the tasks to other people. And
Yeah,
yeah, for me, it's just answering DMs, man. That's
just
one of my
hate doing it.
shortcomings, but I love powering through content, and
Yeah,
that's something that I'd want to focus on. Yeah, dude,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So, do you ever have times when you like doubt everything you're doing, and if you do, how do you push through that?
Doubt everything I'm doing.
Like, do you ever feel like this is never gonna happen, or like what is it?
I've
Do you ever have those days where like you doubt what you're like trying to build?
Yes, I've definitely had days like that.
And how do you
And
navigate that headspace? Because I'm someone that's very positive, but on those days it's like there's 2 voices inside my head fighting each other, and I'm trying to make
uh-huh,
sure that the positive one wins. You
uh-huh,
know what I mean?
uh-huh. Yeah, so how do you get through that headspace? Um, for me, it's just knowing the core of why you started. And it's pretty easy for me, at least, because beats is just what I love making. And it's usually the business side of beats that I can get burnt out from. And I guess just me understanding my core of why I began in the first place is like I always come right back to it. Maybe I'll have to take a break for a couple of weeks. But it's not fame that I want. I don't necessarily want to make a number one hit, though that'd be awesome. Like I wouldn't be opposed to that. It's it's really just inspiring other people and being passionate about what I do, which is making beats. And that's what always brings me right back. And there have been plenty of times where, since I left my job and I like moved in with my parents, where I'm like, man, was that really the right move? Like, should I have just continued working my 9 to 5 and continued building beats on the side? Like maybe I quit my job too early. Um, like that was a thought that came up a lot last year. But you just I I just had to push through. I kind of put myself in a situation where like I couldn't necessarily go back into my 9 to 5 job. I could if
Yeah.
I really wanted to, but I just
Burn the
wanted to.
boats.
Burn
Yeah,
the
dude.
boats.
Yeah, burn the boats. I just wanted to jump feet first and just see what came from it, and that has propelled so much so much growth in my content creation and my skill as a beat maker.
Yeah.
And I think having a fallback or another source of income will definitely help with that doubt, because the point of music is not to make money, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be, but we
just
all want to
becomes
make
that.
money.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
want to make money, like I want to sell as many beats as possible. And like it is music business. And if you can have some sort of side hustle, another gig where you just have income coming in so that your mind doesn't have to be wrapped up about bills you have to pay. It doesn't have to be like contaminated by stress, financial stress, then you're going to create so many better things. You're going to run your business better. And I think just having like cryptos has been a huge like side income for me. And also having like support, living at home, not having to pay certain bills, like that helps a lot. And I think that helps from being burnt out as well.
Yeah. Cool. So, any parting words of wisdom for our lovely audience?
Hmm. It all starts with an idea. If you have an idea that seems absolutely crazy, you need to try it, because you'll never know. And that's part of the reason why I left my job. It was a nice cushy like 9 to 5 engineering job, making decent money. But ultimately, if you're in a situation where you're not happy and like you have all these ideas, you just have to run after it. You have to make that push. And I'm very new at running a business, but I'm happy to have met Jackson and Matt here, and I'm sure we'll be working more and being on the show together in the future, and
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
for sure.
get some more ideas.
It's great
Cool.
having you on.
Anything you want to plug?
If you guys need beats, I'm giving away like a lot of free beats at this point. So if you just go to www.kazebeat.com, KAZEBEAT.com, you can check out my beats there. I also have a BeatStars. My name's the same. Socials, KAZEBEAT. You can find me on there. Shoot me a DM, and maybe someone from the Philippines will get back to you. But
Cool.
We'll see
it's
about
in due
that.
time.
Awesome.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Well, guys, yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.